Once upon a time, there lived a woman named Malavika, who was renowned for her beauty. She was so stunning that a golden chariot always stood at the gate of her palace, and even mighty kings had to wait to meet her. Despite being a courtesan, she had amassed great wealth, enough to buy kingdoms. However, deep within her heart, she suffered. Within that beautiful body dwelled a soul that longed for love. People referred to her as Nagarwadu, meaning the wife of the entire city. One day, as she stood on the balcony of her house, she spotted a young monk who possessed nothing but an empty alms bowl. Although the young monk lacked material possessions, he exuded a remarkable presence, awareness, and extraordinary grace. Upon seeing him, Malavika was captivated by the charm of the young monk. Hastily approaching him, she said, "O monk, accept food from my home." The young monk accepted her invitation. After serving him a meal, Malavika said, "In 3 days, the rainy season will begin, and I invite you to stay in my house for 4 months." Buddhist monks traditionally do not move during the 4-month rainy season and remain in one place. For the next 4 months, they stayed in one location. During the remaining 8 months, they continued to travel, typically not staying in one place for more than 3 days. The young monk responded, "I will consult with my teacher, and if he permits, I will come." Saying this, he departed from there. Before the young monk arrived at the meeting point, his companions, witnessing the situation, hurriedly approached Buddha Gautama and said, "The young monk must be stopped. Malavika has invited him to her house to stay for 4 months, and a monk residing in the house of a courtesan is not appropriate." Buddha Gautama replied to them, "Be silent, let him explain." The young monk arrived and touched Buddha's feet, narrating his entire story. He said, "A woman has invited me to stay at her house for 4 months during the rainy season. Every monk stays in someone's house for 4 months. I also have to stay somewhere for 4 months. Therefore, I need your permission to go there and stay. I will go only if you allow." Buddha Gautama looked into his eyes and said, "You may stay there." This greatly surprised the other monks. Thousands of monks present there could not believe that Buddha Gautama allowed a monk to stay in the house of a courtesan. An elderly monk stood up and said, "This is not right. This young monk is hiding the facts. He said a woman, but in reality, Malavika has invited him. He is not a woman, he is a courtesan." Buddha Gautama replied, "I know, and because he did not use the word courtesan, I allowed him to stay there. He respects her greatly." After 4 days, the young monk went to stay with Malavika, and other monks began gossiping again. Buddha Gautama said to them, "You must be silent, for months will pass, and I trust my monk. I have looked into his eyes, and there is no lustful desire. If a monk's meditation is deep, he will transform a courtesan. And if his meditation is not deep, the courtesan will transform him. Now the question between meditation and physical attraction remains. Just wait for 4 months, and we will know the answer." Nevertheless, the disciples thought that Buddha Gautama was too trusting. The monk was still too young, and Malavika was too beautiful. Buddha Gautama took an unnecessary risk. However, 4 months have passed, and after 4 months, the young monk returned and touched Buddha's feet. Then came Malavika. She touched Buddha's feet and said, "I have tried my best to allure this young monk, but everything was in vain. On the contrary, he convinced me with the awareness that true life lies in understanding my true self. Now, I wish to donate all my possessions to your monk community." It is said in the story that subsequently, Malavika became one of the enlightened female monks among the disciples of Buddha Gautama. If we observe life closely, we will find that to control the sexual thoughts arising in our minds, we need to eliminate sexual desires first. However, instead of eliminating sexual desires, we start indulging in them, as we lack control over our minds. That's why many people, especially unmarried youth, begin engaging in unnatural sexual activities like masturbation. But they forget that sperm is energy. If a man can conserve this energy, he can achieve great success in any field. To conserve your sperm, you don't need to suppress your sexual desires, Instead, eliminate them through meditation and cultivating positive thoughts. When desire arises, simply observe your thoughts. Always remember that you are not your thoughts. Don't react immediately, just observe, and gradually, the thought will dissipate on its own. Preserve your sperm energy and release it only when married and intending to procreate. Thank you for watching and keep the spirit of living your life.